I'm not too crazy after watching this movie, guys, because it is just way too generic. I know you perhaps don't expect too much when going into a superhero movie, but it would have been refreshing to actually see someone spin the formula a bit different, like they did in Doctor Strange 2, when they added some horror elements and was a lot more creative with the multiverse. Here in Black Adam, the creativity is by far the biggest problem. The movie feels so generic, and like most of the superhero movies, there's a backstory, a battle between good and evil, and you see Adam as this sort of anti hero, which is something that reminds you a little of the character Loki. Although our lead character here is more on the good side than the bad side. It seems like the creators have blasted the budget on the visuals, but are unable to make an exciting story that connects with the viewer, because the backstory is just not that entertaining, and the same can be said about the author voice, which needs to be on par to make the beginning entertaining. On top of that, the characters are just mediocre at best, and there's no one you really can connect with. Especially that can be said about Hurricane and Smasher, which I just feel are badly written characters. As far as the action scenes go, I don't really dig the montage vibe. Why do they need to be ruined with an annoying use of montage? It's like the action scenes are just drenched into the music. Of course, the problem is that they try to make it entertaining visually and make them seem way more epic than they actually are. It's a movie that tries to be epic so many times during those scenes when Dwayne Johnson catches the bullets or uses his lightning ability. The use of slow motion effects becomes really annoying, and it's to the point when it also makes you fed up. A second problem is that you also waste a lot of time in the movie by telling the same story 3 times. You had a backstory in the beginning, fair enough. Then just finish it instead of doing a 10-minute backstory, but all the time through the movie let Adam tell about the same moment from the beginning about how he became a champion. You just use up time in a movie where you could get new scenes instead of spinning up scenes from earlier in the movie. That's a feature I highly disliked. It's fair enough to do a flashback if it's a new one, but going back to the same flashback time and time again, it is just a fun killing of the time in a movie that actually lasts around 2 hours. Generally, also this movie feels a little too childish. In the Marvel show Moon Knight, people talked about that not being dark enough, but here it is just not enough. You wanted a darker mood, but what you get is a light, bad superhero comedy, where the usual one-liners may work for some of you, but I'm not fooled. Then again, this is a movie that tries to appeal to younger audiences and not the usual crowd DC tries to gather. Some of their movies tend to be a little darker than the Marvel ones, but here they sink on the same level, which might be because they try to appeal to a younger audience, but I feel it comes at the cost of not making it entertaining enough for the adult audience. Much can also be said about the other actors, but when you write a specific superhero character, I don't think you have got too much freedom to act, and that can absolutely be the case here. Because Dwayne Johnson will always be Dwayne Johnson, but I don't feel he fits the bill as a superhero character nor an author of the story. It just falls completely flat on you, and while you have seen worse superhero movies, this falls somewhere right down the middle. What should have been seen as a positive, though, are that there are some action scenes which could make some of you want to bring the popcorn. But it all feels very generic, as I said earlier. Of course, you cannot invent something new all the time, but at least the way I see it, people making this movie didn't use a lot of effort in doing so. Maybe yes, the visuals are excellent, but you cannot sell a movie alone with the visuals. It looked a lot better on the trailer, but sadly the result is a movie that is just okay to watch, but one you easily will forget the next day. There's a lot they could have done better, but like many times before, this could be a movie that you may like better than me. Nevertheless, I just feel that this movie didn't give me enough and manages to do very little right compared to what I think is a good movie. So therefore, I will settle at a 5 out of 10, guys.